Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the GE Power India Limited earnings conference call for quarter and year ended 31st March 2021. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Prashant Jain, Managing Director of GE Power India Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Hi, thank you very much, Faizan. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to join you with my team, Yogesh Gupta, our CFO, and Vineet Pant, my Chief Commercial Officer, is responsible for sales after a quarter. Today, before I begin, I would like to spend some time, and you would have seen the pages that we have shared on the stock exchange on page number 3, briefly addressing the agenda. Before I begin, I would like to spend a few minutes or few seconds on safety, on the current situation in the pandemic. And I do wish and hope and pray all of you are safe, your close family members and close associates have fared well during the pandemic times. It has been a difficult period, and I hope and I wish and I pray that all tide well and we will emerge stronger from this crisis. We begin with an update on safety in the period ending March 21st, going to the page 4. The company GE Power India Limited believes in safety as a priority and has been intensifying its focus on safety. Safety is not only good for the welfare and well-being of the employees, but also important for the community, and it also improves operational performance. So while we have celebrated the Safety Week, safety is a part of the culture, and this is also being recognized more and more by our customers. While in the year 1920, we have received about 9 awards. In the year 2021, we have received about 12 awards in recognition of the safety practices by the teams from GE Power India Limited. So this just gives us confidence that we are in the right direction. We have close to now millions of man-hours work of happening on sites with the intensified execution activity of FGD, and therefore safety is even more important to ensure that we deliver seamlessly at sites. Moving to page 5, I wanted to give you a quick update on what we mentioned as the strategic direction that we would like to focus going forward. How did we fare in terms of the business mix in 2021 as compared to 1920? So there are 3 areas that we have identified as 3 to 5 year strategic direction that GE Power India Limited would like to focus on. One is to position GEPIL as service business. 2, to start focusing on non-EPC jobs so that we get better cash and margins. And 3rd, start sourcing industrial or private business. So this is a mixed result. I would say though the percentages are higher in services, services has been really very positive. We have a very good growth on the service volume in the recent fund in year ending March 21. The service volume is in the order intake has grown by about 75%. So this strategy is very well on track. Of course, there was a challenge which we will talk about on the new build orders, which is also partly responsible for this graph to look like. And we will talk about this when we address the orders in the coming slides. The second area that we are focusing on is to go and focus on product business and non-EPC business to de-risk the portfolio. And again, with a larger mix of services, we see this as trending in the right direction. And on the government versus private, we still see majority of the spend still in the utility space happening from the government business. And on the private side, it is more or less flat. We saw, in fact, the spending a bit. We've seen more orders coming in from the government sector. That trend continued in the ending financial year. This is not a concern, as we are still focusing on quality of the orders that we take. However, the strategic direction is to say, can we start getting more business from the industrial segment? So this is a KPI that we will continue to monitor on a periodic basis. Moving to the next page, page 6. We have had some good highlights in execution, some of which I'm proud to recollect while we still talk about the year's financials. One is the top two pictures that you see on the left. On top, these are successful execution of other OEM repairs. So we have a very good success on services on other OEM. We have had good order intake, at the same time, a good execution track record. So this is something that I'm happy to share is trending in the right direction. The picture on the right on top that you see is the progress on FGD sites and projects, where we are now coming into mid of the execution of the FGD projects. And in terms of the civil progress on the sites, we see very good progress. We are very happy to share that. And one more highlight that I would like to share is Durgapur. While we are executing the backlog of BHEL, we have been able to deliver 10,000 metric tons of pressure parts for various BHEL projects from Durgapur. So some good execution highlights that keeps us proud, which is also reflecting part in the performance of your company. Moving to the next page, I would like to focus on the key orders and highlights of the direction that we have done in the orders. I would request Vineet Pant, our Chief Commercial Officer, to address this page. Vineet, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Prashant. I would like to take you all through the key highlights for the year 2021, the key orders which we won. So I would start with the order for semi-dry FGD, which we won from Hindalco Lapanga site, which is won by 150 megawatt. It's a very significant order because it is our first ever order for semi-dry FGD. All the earlier orders which we have got in the past 2 years were for wet FGD. So I think it's a very landmark order for us, and it would open the doors, for many such orders for the smaller size units and units having lesser residual life. We also got this DeNOx order. We had earlier got from NTPC some other orders for bulk DeNOx, but we got an order from NTPC Barauni again last year. And from UP RVNL, it is the first order we got for DeNOx. I think it's a significant order from UP RVNL for Hadwaganj, Paricha and Anpada plants. So these are all plants where, by the statutory requirement, they have to achieve 450 milligram per annum cube. So this was UP RVNL order was very landmark order for us. Again, in services from NTPC Rehan, we got a mills upgrade order. It was also first of its kind, and once this has been executed successfully, NTPC is again looking for similar upgrades in the other plants. So again, this is also a significant order for us. Services, as Prashant mentioned, we have a lot of focus on services. There has been a lot of growth last year, and especially orders on the other OEM fleet, which we have got significant orders, both from government as well as the private sector. So this is definitely our area of growth, and we are really moving in the right direction. Hydro, again, we got an order for pump storage, 500 megawatt. This is from Mega Engineering. Value was around 290 crores. So we had a good mix of orders last year. I think we can move to the next slide now. So I think we go to the financial part, and I will start from the orders. This is slide number 9. So as far as the orders are concerned, as you can see from this slide, quarter 4 of last year, we did around 186 crores, while the earlier year it was 803 crores. And if you see the full financial year, we were at 1161 crores as against 3661 crore in the previous year. So there is, as you are aware, there was a fall in orders, and it was mainly, I would say, due to COVID. As all of you know, a lot of ordering was delayed last year, And most of, and if you see 1920, most of the orders which we got, or major part of the order we got was from FGD, and many of these orders, this year, last year, they got postponed because of the COVID situation. Also, there was the government came out with a change in law. There was an issue on import ban from neighboring countries. So this also, to an extent, it contributed to the delay in ordering. Also, if you talk about FGD, there was an issue on the ambiguity on the timelines, which also led to this delay in ordering. So overall, I would say there were three reasons. One was COVID, the Chinese ban, and the ambiguity on FGD timelines, which majorly contributed to this, delay in ordering. And actually, we did not lose any order in this period. Whatever happened, the drop is because the ordering got delayed. Otherwise, I think we were on track. So I would now move to the next slide. So I would now hand over to Yogesh, our CFO. So Yogesh, can you take us through the revenue part?
Thank you, Vineet. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would take you through the revenue and the profitability. And if we are looking at the slide number 10, the quarter was a very good quarter for us. We increased our revenue by 27% vis-a-vis the same quarter of last year. We had a revenue of 930 crores against the revenue of last year of 732 crores. And this was primarily attributable to the very healthy backlog that we had at the end of 2019-20. So this really contributed to a very good revenue growth on the annual basis for the fiscal year 2021 as well. From 2,445 crores, we increased the revenue to 3,343 crores, a growth of exactly 27%, as was in the fourth quarter. And we continue with a very healthy and strong backlog of 5,410 crores at the end of the fiscal year 2021. Can we go to the next, please? On the profitability, which is slide number 11, we had the profit of 241 million, 24.1 crores. This was after exceptional item of 89 million, 8.9 crores, primarily the restructuring cost. And if we compare it with the same quarter of last year, last year we made 25.4 crores as profit. And here, if we look at the percentages vis-a-vis revenue, this profit of fourth quarter 1920 was 3.5%. And if we look at the operational profit without exceptional items, the profit before tax, this is 330 million, 33 crores, which is again 3.5% of the revenue. If we look at the annual profit, this year we made 95.1 crores as the profit, and this was primarily impacted by our exceptional items of 36.3 crores, which were primarily attributable to the restructuring costs that we have carried out in the last fiscal. And if we remove this exceptional item, our profitability was 131.4 crores. If we compare this percentage of profit with last year, the percentage of this year is, if we look at 951, it turns out to be 3% of the revenue, whereas if we remove the exceptional items, it is 4%. And the profitability last year was boosted by an exceptional items on account of sale of real estate in Vadodara by 32.9 crores, and total profit was 173 crores, including the exceptional item. And if we look at the profit which was without the exceptional items, this was 140.7 crores, which was almost about 5.7% of the revenue. So we have had I would say, in these challenging times, we have had the decent, reasonable profit that we could make for the full year. Prashant.
Thank you, Yogesh. With that, briefly explaining the financials, we would be open to questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one at this time. The first question is from the line of Renu Baid from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Good afternoon, sir, and congratulations for a good Q. I have a few questions. So my first question is if you can help us understand broadly the revenue mix seems to be driven by FGD execution. So when we look at financial 22, are the bottlenecks significantly lower than the last year? And the revenues going forward should also mirror the same mix, or are we expecting an improvement in the mix as well? Also, what would be the status on the completion of those old loss orders for the ESP UP project?
Yogesh, would you address that, please? Yogesh?
Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for the question. And I would start with the second part of the question, which is with regard to the orders that we had on loss or with zero margin. They are executed to the extent of about 80%. And we have another about 100 crores to go on these orders. And the likely completion for the 2 orders out of the 3 is mid-22. And the third order will be completed by mid-23. So this is on the orders on loss that we have. And coming to the mix of sales, this year has been very well, I would say, there has been huge contribution from our FGD portion to the extent of almost about 60% contribution on revenue comes from the FGD portion. And there has been a shift in our revenue mix. Now it is predominance of FGD orders, and we have lesser of boiler orders. And this mix is likely to continue in the coming year with predominance of the FGD orders which will be turned over. And with regard to the first part of the bottleneck, we had few challenges coming or emanating from because of COVID, wherein we were impacted by some supplies from our vendors. We were also in the lockdown, plus there was a shortage of the manpower on different sites. But we are clearly ramping up, and these bottlenecks will be addressed.
Okay, sure. So the second question would be to understand the broad, as in one can understand FY20 was significantly impacted because the entire government machinery has slowed down, and probably that's the case for the second wave as well. But if you look at the broad order pipeline and the business at the anvil, how should we look at opportunities both on the steam as well as the services side for the new order flows in the market? And can we expect an average improvement in the pricing levels, or the market is likely to be as competitive as earlier because of thin volumes in the last 18 months?
Thanks, Renu, for this question. As regards the focus is concerned, yes, we will focus on the emissions and services. We will continue to focus on services. We see that in the right trend, and as is also seen in the order mix. In fact, the margin is also in the right direction with the services coming in. On the emission side, again, first quarter was hit by wave 2, but now we see the decision happening. So we see that if we see the large mix of the trend for the current financial year, we expect again services and emissions to be the large part of the mix in the coming financial year. So we are hoping there will be decisions within the quarter. The customers are now moving towards decision making. There is a price firming happening, but the price firming on one side is also challenged by the government by the pass through on what additional price on an FGD that the consumers are able to pass through to the consumers. That is where the dilemma that the power producers are facing, and therefore they are taking a bit more in negotiations. But for sure, we see prices firming up because, one, the commodity prices have gone up. Two, we also see that there is a huge stress on the supply chain, and therefore the availability of the good quality suppliers is a challenge. So considering these factors, we see price firming up for sure. And from the company, we have also been categorical that we will focus on good margin, good cash, and positive accretive deals. So from that point of view, we will apply that filter as well. So this is the direction that we are taking to make sure that we manage the right mix of the orders that we take in the coming quarters.
But any number that you would have in terms of the addressable market for the next 12-15 months in terms of the end market here?
Yeah. So the market numbers I would request Vineet to share. Vineet?
So if we talk about the FGD, so we expect almost 26 gigawatt will get ordered. So as Prashant mentioned, there is because of COVID there was a delay, but we expect quarter 3 and quarter 4. Already we have started discussion, and there is a healthy pipeline, and people are really now making attempts. So we expect around 26 gigawatt will be ordered. And mostly it will be quarter 3 and quarter 4. Services, of course, ordering is.
So just a clarification, 26 gigawatt would be over a few years, or within the 2 quarters itself you're expecting? So that
no, it is something is already going on. Some tenders are in progress, so it would be over the next 3 or 4 quarters, I would say.
Got it.
And for services, I think it is on track. We already have seen a lot of ordering. In fact, we have, as JEPIL, we have booked orders of 125 crores, for the services upgrades this year already. So I would say, I think the market is looking up. Of course, COVID has impacted, in the first quarter, but third and fourth quarter things are going to look up.
Thank you.
And mostly this 26, in fact, this 20, it is we expect to get ordered, in this financial year itself. Yeah. So this includes ReNew. It includes some backlog from last year.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Renjit Shivaram from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, hi, sir. Congrats on good execution given the scenario. So, sir, if I look at your order book currently, what percentage will be FGD and what percentage will be services?
Yeah, Yogesh?
Yes, please. You want to know the approximate percentages of our backlog?
Yep, the orders in hand, the mix between new build and services.
Okay. So I would say 60% would be in the range of for FGDs, about 55 to 60%. The services will be about 34% or 35%. You can take that range. Yeah. So and remaining, you can say in the range of it will be 62 to 63% will be the total supply orders, and service will be about total will be about 36-37%.
Okay. And in terms of our overall execution going forward, we used to have some 1,600 crores of hydro last quarter, so that is still continuing at slow moving, right?
Hydro contributes to about 30% of the order backlog in the total portion that we have. And here there were some orders which were these are all legacy projects because of environmental clearances, etc. But now even the projects which were on hold, they have been addressed. The environmental clearances are there, so they are on traction. They are moving now. So there are no non-moving order backlog from hydro business.
Okay. So 55% FGD, the rest will be split between services and hydro. Is that the understanding?
Can you please repeat the question?
Is it 55% from FGD and the rest will be split between services and hydro?
I would repeat, if you specifically want for FGD, the FGD backlog is about 50%, right? And then the hydro will be in the range of about 25 to 30%, which will have a component of service as well in hydro as well. And then about 10 to 12% will be clearly pure service coming from steam. And the boiler will be about 14% approximately.
Okay, because when I look at the revenue mix, we had, we would have done around 500 crores this year in services, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then do we have enough order backlog to grow the services, or do you believe that it is short cycle and still we can grow at a good pace in services despite our opening book is not that big?
See, I would say, as has been shared by Prashant and Vineet, we have seen a significant growth in our order intake on services side, and we have reasonably strong order backlog in service also to address the volumes that we are targeting for the next year.
So in terms of what gets, sorry. So in terms of convertibility for revenue from the backlog versus what we book fresh. So we see a mix of, depending on the upgrade or core mix, 50 to 75% convertibility during the first year. So if you book some orders in the first half, we can say 50% of that gets converted in the second half. That is the nature currently, but as we are growing, this is not yet stabilized. So we are still in the process of establishing a stable, but if I may give you, the revenue will be roughly about 50 to 60% from the backlog, but the rest would come from fresh order intake. This is how the nature of business is, depending on the OEM or the OEM mix of the business and the orders and upgrade in core. But the current trend we are seeing as what we book in the first year is getting revenue in the second year, that is 50% of convertibility rate that we have seen in the revenue mix. Does that address your question, Rajit?
Okay, sir. And just regarding the balance sheet, our net working capital currently stands at around 22%, and large portion is because of this trade receivables increase. And we have around 312 crores of debt. So how do you see this going forward next year? Will these receivables get liquidated and can we become debt free, or you feel it will take one more year for us to become debt free?
Ranjit, like we have orders which are primarily with the PSUs where the retention clauses are like huge. We have been sharing this information in the past also. And our accounts receivables as it stands is almost about 2,213 crores. And of this, retention is almost about 1,700 crores. And you are very right when you say that the present borrowings are there to the extent of 312 crores. So these borrowings are likely to increase as we go on. We were clearly contemplating that we will be by the end of this current fiscal year, by 31st March 2022, we will be debt-free. But because of the COVID and the delays that have happened on the project, it is clearly delayed on the retention collection front as well. So we are foreseeing that this fiscal year we would be ending with a net borrowing, which will be in the range of about 150 crores, if I say, 150 to 200 crores, depending on how the things shape up and there is no wave 3 of COVID. And Q1 of the next fiscal is what we are contemplating clearly as a debt-free for us. Normally, we don't give futuristic projections, but this is something which is important for you and to understand. So this is the reason why we are putting this clarification.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one. The next question is from the line of Deepak Narnolia from Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes,
Hi. Good afternoon, and thanks for giving the opportunity. And I had two questions, actually. One,
So sorry to interrupt you. This is the operator. The audio is breaking from your line, sir. Please check.
am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Thank you.
So I had two questions. One question is, first it's regarding what I see, sir, that you said that FGD execution has reached to the mid-level, and still your margin is only at, this quarter you have delivered 5.7% margin. And you have some services business also in that, probably somewhere around 10 to 15%. So I was wondering what kind of margins you are making in FGD and how it is going to pan out. One question. And the second is that you have said that 75% uptick in your services order, and also, so I wanted more clarity in that, given that the services is going to be a very important business for you. What is the actual revenue you have made in this business? What is the order book right now, and how much is the order inflow in this business when you are saying 75% inflow? And if you can give some color in the expected revenue next year in services.
Well, you have asked several questions, so I would try to answer and respond. And if I missed something, I would request you to please repeat your question.
Yes.
And so, first of all, you want to have some futuristic projections, and as I shared, we normally don't share futuristic numbers, but I will try to see what best I can answer. If we look at our service business is our profitability is in the range of about 15%, approximately. Yeah, and I'm talking of the annual number right now. It varies from 12 to 15%, and normally we have not been giving the breakup of the different subsegments in our domain. Then we have the question that you asked was what is the growth prospect for on the order intake side for service. So as has been mentioned by Mr. Jain, Mr. Prashant, and Vineet, we are clearly contemplating very high growth on the order intake front from services, and we are clearly looking at almost about 6.5, 7 billion or 600 plus or 650 crores as order intake coming from services in the coming fiscal year. And then your next part was with regard to the continuation of profitability. The profitability will continue on the similar lines on the service domain that we have for our revenue for the next fiscal. I have been able to answer, I think, 3 parts of your question, but there were 2 more parts of your question. If you can just kindly please repeat them.
Actually, in services, when you are saying 75% growth, so what's the actual, order inflow number in services in this year? And services in the order book, it's 10%, you said, somewhere around 540 or 600 crores plus the hydro services. Am I right in that regard?
Yes, please. You are.
And what was the order inflow exactly, sir?
We normally don't share the exact numbers of the split of the different segments of business, but you have the clear, I would say, indication that I will give you a range on the order intake from service business that we have in the current year. Yeah, this is what we have is in the range of about you can say 450 odd crores, 420 to 450 crores. Yeah.
Okay, sir. And margins, you said, will be in the same line, 6% margin. It's companies delivering right now. So is it going to be in the same range, or there are some one-offs or maybe some loss orders or maybe some lower margin in the initial order, something like that?
See, normally we don't give futuristic projection, and we, as has been clarified in the first question, we have already the loss orders have been provided for, and we clearly the impact of revenue of the loss orders is not there in the profitability in which the turnover is taking place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Renu Baid from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity again. This question pertains to the private sector. Now that in the last quarter we saw some small orders trickling for JEPL in this space, the overall outlook in the steel and cement sector has been fairly positive. So what kind of opportunities can JEPL play with respect to energy optimization opportunities in these industrial sectors? Would we be broadly restricted only to the emissions, or can we actually have a higher play in terms of their power requirements, either for the captive units or in terms of waste heat recovery systems and otherwise?
So yes, the main focus areas in service business are emissions plus efficiency, which is again towards economizer, boiler upgrades, or automation or upgrades. So we touch the efficiency part, we touch the emissions part, and we also do capacity optimization or upgrades, which means increase in capacity. So these are the three types of opportunities. Currently, the mix of the industrial segment is a lot lower. We have seen 3 to 4 orders finalized in the industrial segment, and we are working with additional customers. So this is all a part of the overall service opportunity that we are focusing on. And for sure, we see certain opportunities moving in this segment. But if I say in the larger service plan, it will still take a while for these numbers to become significant from the industrial segment. As we see still currently, the maturity of the pipeline from the public sector customers is a lot higher, and the industrial segment we have started to focus, and the maturity of the pipeline is still lower. So we will start seeing a bit more in the industrial segment in the coming years. From steel and cement, we are seeing opportunities for emissions or upgrade, which are not at yet material from what will move the needle, if I may say, from the mix that we have currently projected in our numbers.
Mm-hmm. And also,
I would say aluminum is looking up, Prashant. Just to add, I think aluminum sector is aluminum prices are going up, and a lot of people are also, a lot of Hindalco, Vedanta, they are going for expansion also. They're planning expansion. So aluminum sector definitely is also going to pick up.
So roughly the mix of industrial to fossil today is in the range of 12 to 15%, Renu, and that would not significantly change, if I may say, in the total order volume. So that will not move the needle significantly yet. We still have a big portion coming from utility and fossil.
Right. So actually my question was also focusing beyond just the services portfolio for these core industries, because historically these are also the sectors which had relied on power generation solutions on the coal side. But because of ESG requirement as well as the clean energy perspective that companies are having, they are incrementally doing more investments on the waste heat recovery side or renewables rather than coal. So would we have our offerings on the waste heat recovery side of the market as well, or it would be within the power gen only on the power plant assets only?
So we are focusing in the industrial side, in certain cases also on the process side, but primarily today on the power generation side. The area that Vineet was mentioning, aluminium, that is a segment where we have certain offerings for the capacity expansions, but that is again not material. And we are looking at additional production solutions in this area, but not something that is material in the short term.
Got it. And just to follow up on the previous comments, which earlier Vineet had mentioned that nearly 26 gigawatts of FGDs are expected to be finalized in the next 18 months. So when we look at this pipeline, this would broadly be the rest of the NTPC lot as well as some of the SEB projects which would be coming up. So what would be our comfort in terms of the type of projects that we are seeing, NTPC as well as some of the state utility jobs on this side?
If I may make a statement from the strategic point, JPIL has cumulative market share roughly about 20%, give or take 1 or 2% here and there, but roughly 20% market share on the ordering so far in terms of gigawatt and value. In the new backlog, we will retain the percentage market share in the gigawatt, but in the scope we are working to de-risk the portfolio, not take the full scope. So we are looking at alternative options, which is margin cash accretive for us, and that is what will reflect in the strategy going forward. So we'll be selective in the quality of orders, but yes, you are right. It is non-NTPC, it is state and the IPP that we are now working with,
so
and also the industrial
EPC contractors while we're executing more EPC jobs here.
Yeah.
Got
And
it.
it would be moving towards central and state and IPP, going forward. And our focus would be more on IPP, because as Prashant said, we are looking at cash accretive deals and working with partners. So that is possible for IPPs.
Sure. Thank you, sir, for taking the question. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ranjit Shivaram from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thanks for again giving the opportunity. So if you look at the current commodity prices uptick, and also we had seen our raw material position as a sales have inched up a bit last 2 quarters.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Shivaram. We are not able to hear you clearly, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Now it is better.
Hello?
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you look at the current commodity prices, and the last 2 quarters, our raw material cost proportion has gone up. So is there a risk there in the margin, or what percentage of our order book is fixed in nature, or can you throw some clarity on that commodity price impact on our margins?
So let me comment on the kind of contracts, Ranjit, and then I would pass on to Yogesh for a specific ad if you would like to. So the contracts that we have per nature, majority of these contracts that we have are with public sector. These contracts, excepting a couple of ESP contracts and maybe 1 or 2 private contracts, all the contracts have a price variation clause, which is pegged to the commodity price variation to a cap. And that is the nature of the contracts, where they provide for extension of time and they provide for price variation clause for all SGD projects, excepting the couple of jobs which I mentioned. So all have a PVC clause. So here it's so this is a claim process that we do with the customer, and we are hopeful that we should be able to resolve most of the claims.
So probably, if I understand it correctly, then once the project is complete, then during the negotiation we can have some benefit because of this the right back of some of these commodity price increases which we had taken a hit, or is it through the process of booking itself we do that?
So maybe I will let Yogesh address. The price variation is covered through the additional billing revenue to the customer normally, so it's a part of the contract. And as we do progress in the contract, at times the issues that do come up due to COVID is the additional mobilization, demobilization, the additional quarantine costs for labor, workers, etc. So those are challenges that we have, which are not easy. For example, force majeure, which was clear in the COVID wave 1, but in wave 2 the government did not really come up with a clear guideline. So it was again site-specific, project-specific, and those claims have been raised by us. These claims usually do, you are right, they do settle as the contract progresses. But this is all a part of the contract. There are always pluses and minuses. So I would not make a trend or a forecast about it. Yogesh, you may want to add?
Yeah, I would like to add here, see, as has been explained by Prashant, and very aptly so, these are the price variation clauses are the part of the contract. And we don't wait till the end of the contract for these to be sorted out or settled. And the regular billings are carried out based on the changes in the indices of the prices which our supplies are based on. There are clearly defined formulas for different products. There are clearly published indices which are applied, and these are exactly as part of the contract. And the data is published by EMA, and we use that for calculating the price variation. And they are claimed from the customer by way of raising invoices in the normal course of our, I would say, supplies, etc. So there won't be any end period top up if you are wanting to understand that way of the price variation clauses. With regard to some claims which are already there, Prashant clarified with regard to the force majeure, etc. These are also under constant discussion with the customers, and we are trying to them.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Prashant Jain for closing comments.
So thank you for your kind patience in hearing, and thanks for joining and participating with your questions. We shall connect again in the next quarter, hopefully. And should you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out by email. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of GE Power India Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.